structure, the simplest omnidirectional structure. It's called a tensegrity icosahedron because the ends of the struts, they correspond very closely to the icosahedron, which is one of the platonic solids with 20 sides. Okay, that's a bit of geometry out of the way. The thing about this tensegrity model is that, let's see, I can move it and you can see the thing moving very slightly, but it's actually expanding and contracting in every direction. Now this displays auxetic behavior. This is very unusual in man-made structures. There are very few man-made structures that do this. Becoming more, but tensegrity is one of the defining characteristics of it. And I'll show you this other model here. Not a tensegrity, but it shows how the entire structure can expand and contract in every direction. For the technically minded, it exhibits a negative Poisson ratio, but we won't get too deeply into that.
Think about your breathing when you see this, that your lungs are expanding and condensing all at once in all directions. That's just a little model that helps us feel that. Thanks, Graham.
That's right, that's fine. Yes, and this auxetic behavior is also described be found in skin, tendons, cells, most of the visceral organs. So it's a very important characteristic to take more notice of.
You provide, or maybe both of you provide, your definition of auxeticity.
Well, it's not our definition. It's the definition that physicists use, but it's omnidirectional expansion and condensation. That kind of movement, where if you think of a cake with filling and you squish down the top layer and the filling squirts out the sides, that is pushing something down, and then it gets like wider, longer, thinner this way. You can do that with a ball of putty or clay, but auxetic things will expand and condense omnidirectionally. You know, again, I was blessed in that I didn't have conventional biomechanics for my movement training. I had Tai Chi. Everything moves is a line from the Tai Chi classics that says when one thing moves, everything moves. And when one thing is impaired for movement stops, other things stop with it. It didn't make sense with me until I felt a tensegrity. So that clarified that. And another line from the Tai Chi classics is, because we do partner work, if he doesn't move, I don't move. If he moves, I move first. Now, how do you do that? It defies logic. However, if I'm connected to somebody in system, then when one thing moves, everything moves. To somebody who is expecting a response that goes through the nervous system, it may indeed seem like I'm moving first when they move. And we know, think of it from experience, how much you have done something where the nervous system would arrive too late. Anybody who's done any sports, I remember kind of catching and throwing a Frisbee and in the middle of a game and that sort of thing. And it's over before your conscious mind is on the scene. There's a lot of that going on in the body that we don't understand yet.
The technical people, and I'm one of those, auxetic behavior represents a negative Poisson ratio. And what do I mean by that? Well, if you take a rubber band, elastic band, and stretch it, it gets thinner in the middle. And when you shorten it, it gets fatter again. An auxetic behavior, the elastic band is performing a positive Poisson ratio. Auxetic behavior does the opposite. So when we lengthen it, the structure gets bigger in the middle, thicker in the middle. Exhibits what's called a negative Poisson ratio. This is for the mathematicians and technical people. So auxetic behavior is a great name to describe what's happening. And it's only been known about for 30, 35 years. It was considered impossible before that. And now there's a lot of work to produce engineering, technical things, value to it. A lot of living structures behave auxetically. It's now confirmed. There's so much evidence to support it, which is why we have to think about during treatment, when we've got our hands on or describing movement, we have to look at it in a different way because it's a different way of thinking.